So Sam, why don't you tell Professor Long some of the choices you made and what effect you were hoping those would have?
Okay, so in my first monologue, there's this huge scholars debate whether the to be or not to be monologue was about more of the human condition rather than um, Hamlet contemplating suicide. Either way, I think that whenever I internalize it more, it comes off more as very personal and very suicidal sounding. So what I did was I took a lot of focus off the inclusive pronouns, and I kind of wanted my body language to read as though I was really actually alone and that the audience wasn't there, which I honestly don't think would have happened when this was performed by Richard Burbage, who originated the role in the Globe. So there also is a lot of the imagery that Shakespeare uses is very relatable to groundlings and the more lower class. So there was, in one of the lines, it's to take arms against a sea of troubles. And that is actually referring to a folklorian myth about warriors who were on a ship and the ship was sinking and they were actually taking arms to the seas, which I thought was fairly interesting.
And people of this time period would have all been familiar.
They would have all been familiar with what that was saying. Also, the actual, the thematic elements of the monologue was referring to a very Renaissance theme of death and sleepless death. So I think that the themes of the monologue are relatable, and that whenever I have this direct address, the audience is able to really feel the agony of Hamlet, as well as being able to understand that it might not all be about suicide and the nature of death, but it's also about the human condition of the fear of not knowing what is beyond this life, which I think was very prominent in Renaissance age. And yeah.
I think one of the things I think you should talk about your use of gesture.
Yes. So whenever I'm directing the audience, I'm also looking up, I'm looking down. I wanted to be able to portray the idea that I am looking at three different levels of the globe, both looking up towards nobles, merchants who were probably going to be more regulars at the theater because they could afford it. But that the imagery used is so common that everything I say is meaningful to every member of the audience.
But the way that you can gesture then when you're communicating directly to the audience is a way that you were not gesturing.
Yes,
when
yes.
you were internalizing it.
And when I talk about body language, I'm also talking about eye contact. Whenever I'm internalizing it, I find that a lot of times, we tend to look up towards the heavens to think, to kind of find our thought. But whenever I use direct address, it's a little more, it's stronger in that I have a point and I know what I'm going to say, and it's important. So all of the audience needs to be listening because I'm the focus of attention. I'm the only one on stage, on this huge stage. So I need to command a presence that is worth listening to. And I think that in the second monologue, I was doing that.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's especially because you're directly engaging.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So now we'll show you the monologues that I performed from Shakespeare's Othello, Act 3, Scene 3. Iago, who is masterly manipulating Othello throughout the play, has just left, And there's this brief moment here in this scene where Othello has the opportunity to sort of ponder his thoughts and muse about whether or not the course of actions he's going to take against Desdemona and supporting Iago. So the first one you'll see is me directly addressing the audience. And we'll see you back here in a minute and a half or so. Shakespeare's Othello, Act 3, Scene 3, direct address to the audience. This fellow's of exceeding honesty, and knows all qualities with a learned spirit of human dealings. If I do prove her haggard, though, that her jesses were my dear heartstrings, I would whistle her off and let her down the wind to pray at fortune. Haply, for I am black, and have not those soft parts of conversations that chamberers have, or for I am declined into the vale of years. Yet that's not so much. She's gone. I am abused, and my relief must be to loathe her. Oh, curse of marriage, that we can call these delicate creatures ours and not their appetites. I would rather be a toad and live upon the dungeon vapors than a corner of the thing I love for others' uses. Yet, that is the plague of greatness. The prerogative are they less the base. 'Tis destiny, unshunnable, like death. Even then, this forked plague is fated to us, when we do so quicken. Desdemona comes. So that was me directly addressing the audience, and now we'll have me performing the same monologue, but containing it within the world of the play. William Shakespeare's Othello, Act 3, Scene 3, contained within the play. This fellow's of exceeding honesty. He knows all qualities with a learned spirit of human dealings. If I do prove her haggard, though her jesses were my dear heartstrings, I would whistle her off and let her down the wind to prey on fortune. For haply I am black, and have not those soft parts of conversations that chamberers have, or for I am declined by the veil of years. Yet that's not much. She is gone. I am abused, and my relief must be to loathe her. Oh, curse of marriage, that we can call these delicate creatures ours and not their appetites. I'd rather be a toad and live upon the vapors of a dungeon than keep a corner of the thing I love for the use of others. Yet 'tis the plague of great ones. Prerogative are they less than the base. 'Tis destiny, unshunnable, like death. Even then, this forked plague, fated to us when we do quicken. Desdemona comes.